Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. Today is January 12th, 2018. This coming Monday is going to be a celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's life. And I hear that your president is going to be want to make some statements about it. But I want to say to you, my friends, my sisters, and my brothers, that the devil is still alive. I know many of you didn't believe in him, but we got a live one right now in the White House. And that devil only wants fallen angels to work with him. People who will recognize that there is no God on this earth except this one, committed to him, and he has really some friends, very close friends, people who are devils before. He rose to the occasion. People like, I don't want to call that many, I'll just use Putin, who goes around and ripped off everything he can. And Trump is trying to do the same thing. It's as if they've made a partnership. They've made an agreement with one another. All while they've been investing this money for Trump, giving Trump this money. Now I'm just speaking to you from my spirit now. That they have been rubbing hands, maybe not in any kind of way they can rub hands. But an agreement apparently has been made because Trump is definitely carrying out his end. He is definitely carrying out his end. But the threat is to you, the American people. What if he has made an agreement to allow this country to be overthrown by Putin? By putting in only people who will listen to anti-God Trump. Do what anti-God Trump says and nothing else. And all the good people have already proven over a lifetime most of the things they do is sit down and wait. And those who stand up get killed right away. And all the good people again just sit down on their hands. And right now it seems to me as if this is exactly what Trump is trying to do. Trying to kill all of the American institutions, to break them down as best he can. To go out and cause all kind of problems amongst the people of the state, doing everything he can to disrupt order. It appears as though what he wants to do is create such an environment that the people go at one another. If you see, one of the main things he's doing, he's trying to separate, called racism. He's trying his very best to separate these people by making some think that they're greater than the other. And by putting down the other so much till it just brings people to a point that they just have to explode. And then when they explode, he can take over the government by calling the military in, trying to block everything and take order. And next thing you know, he got to let the boys on in. Let the boys on in. You know, he already told you about generals. He has told you about generals. He loved the generals. And you, the people, have believed that the generals represented you. The generals represented you as long as the boss represented you. The generals are people who have been trained to take orders, trained to do what is told to do. You don't ask questions, you just do it. You're a soldier in the army of the anti-God. And you can see what those generals are doing right now. And so if he says in the streets with the military, there might be one or two generals. I'm not gonna try it because there are some people just can't take it. You can drive them to a point, they'll stand up. But for the most part, they are not going to stand up. They are not going to stand up. Do you realize this nation is truly evil? This nation is truly evil. Everywhere, well, don't let me use all those states. Let me just use something specific. When the war was over, World War II, all those evil Germans, you remember them? Germans so evil, look how they killed millions of people and so on and so forth, even more than that. And so these are very evil people. Killing people with all kind of technological advances that they have. But when the war was over, what country went over there and tried to get as many of those evil, if you want to call them evil, or if you don't want to call them evil, just call them scientists, great men who would be influenced by power, who you could bring in and say, you've been condemned to die, I can set you up in a fancy life. What do you say? I can set you up in a fancy life. We have condemned your people. We've condemned your actions. But if you come over here and be with us, we can set you up in a fancy life, let you live rich and special, and let you continue your work. Wow. Doesn't that sound just like the devil? Well, you know it does. But you have been trained to believe, at least in the past, that when that happened, we were smart. We were genius. What? We genius like the president? Well, anyway, that's what we were thinking about ourselves. But now for those of us who call ourselves good people, as we watch this stuff happening in our own house, we can see how stupid it is. I look at it sometimes and I think that we on earth are nothing but fallen angels. People who have turned their back on truth. And we've been put here to learn truth. And sometimes it takes a long beating to accept truth. Nations all over existence have all gone through education. Where they've ended up, I don't know. We're probably some of those people that were back there in those days, right here, still being good people, sitting on our hands, doing nothing. The devil doesn't have to do anything when he got people like Trump and others that would abuse human beings, that doesn't care anything about human beings. He doesn't have to do anything but sit on and smoke his pipe because his work is getting done. But those who love Jesus are sitting back, being still, as some of those mega churches will tell them, and just wait on God, and God will be there. And everybody will know that God is your God because how God came to you. But ladies and gentlemen, what he did not tell you is this. God is not going to come to you in a group. God is going to come to you like one by one. And he's going to prove himself to you. And no need of you going trying to tell anybody, because no one is going to believe you. Now you're going to be set right there in the middle of this hell, knowing the truth, when everybody else is blind. And you know they're blind. The key is what you're going to do about it. Now you have been given the light. The hope is that you'll use the light. That you will have so much compassion that you'll want others to see the truth. That you'll stand up and be representative of the truth. That God might be glorified. Or you might just want to be quiet. Oh, then you might get your church. And you can really get famous. You can write books and anything that you can come up with that keep people's mind off the truth. But you have been put in a position, my friend, that you have been given a gift, a truth that requires the only way it can be accepted as honor is when you stand up and become a representation of that truth. Otherwise, you were saved for nothing. Saved for nothing. That's what most of the things are happening in our world today. As I sit back and listen to the politicians who talk about what really is going on, we all know what's going on. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves constantly talking about it. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves giving this devil that much attention. We know the devil is no good. Every minute of our day should be in contemplation of how we're going to end this devil's control in our lives. Every minute of our life should be how are we going to gag this devil. And we're not going to let any laws that were set up years ago by people who were of the same set and we didn't know any better. We were good people sitting down allowing these things to happen. But now we are awakened because this fire is in our house. And we can't trust people. Now, let me tell you, I want you to recognize this. When people talk to you, I'm going to go on some politicians. Some politicians can come on their television and they can articulate exactly what's going on, the problems of this nation that you, the people, feel, what legislations are being passed and how it will affect you. They tell you about all the negativity and how it is anti what the politician might have said when he was campaigning. And that they can give you the way it can be done. Don't trust that all the time. What you do is you look back and see what was the person doing before they wanted your support. What were they doing when they were resisting what they tell you you should be resisting? What were they doing then? How are they being rewarded? These are things. Because a politician can sit down and tell you exactly what you want to hear and then cave in. There was a campaign going where they had a couple of candidates running for the major position. One would say all the right things and expose all the crookedness of the other's statement. And yet, rather than ride that pony to the end, compromise, made a deal to go along with that which he had been condemning. What kind of leader is that? If what you know is the best, then represent the best. Everybody wants the best. Represent the best. They might not understand it, don't make no difference. Represent the best. And be willing to give your life for it without taking a single life. Baby, that's one heck of a statement. So I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it. I've said it before. And I'm going to say it to you again. Donald Trump is what the American people have created. Some of you who just hate it to that degree, and the others of you who just sat on your hands. Good people. You took the God out of the schools. People never hear anything about that. When you go to church, the preachers don't know what they're talking about. Very few preachers have been exposed by God. Very few people. Most preachers don't go in there because God grabbed them and opened their eyes up. No, they got a belief. They want to do it. They are really genuine people. They really want to. And they go into this, they use the best that they got to give the people the best that they can. Problem is, it's not God. It's them. And when they feel it deeply, it's in their minds. They sleep about it. Woo! They dream about it. It got to be God. But it's not. It's still them. You see, God has made it clear to us that everything belongs to God. Everything belongs to God. Men, human beings, all, everywhere, belong to God. All the gifts that they have, all of those know-hows within these individuals, all of it belongs to God. And they can turn it on the best they can, but they can't turn it loose unless God moves the key. And God ain't being tricked by your race, your color. God ain't being tricked by your gender. God is still God every day of the life. And you might say, I hear this all the time. Why won't God come and take care of business and be God to us? No. I want to tell you something. You can't play God like that. God has set up a situation. This God of spirit has set up a divine situation that God can live in material life. God can live in person and human by living in us. Oh, brothers, when we start treating people like God is their father, like he is ours, when we start treating people like we recognize what those things are that are common amongst all of us for survival, like food and clothing and shelter and education and health care, that we can all live like, what? Angels. Yeah, the angels sound better than kings and queens. But he set that plan up. All, my friends, we have to do is allow that special thing that's been given to you to live. And you're not going to recognize really what that is until you break and recognize that whatever you've been following ain't getting you nowhere. And you become as committed to allow God to live in you as those demons are of letting the devil live in them. Otherwise, what you talking about? Now, before I go, I want you to know that my name is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. And I'm asking the people of the state of Minnesota to aid me in becoming the next senator from Minnesota, replacing Al Franken. and I will be not on the ballot. They will have to write my name in. I am not running as a Republican or Democrat. I'm running independent, and my whole platform is to glorify God in the sweetest love I know. That is, those things that I mentioned to you, I'm committed to it. And I'm asking those of you who are committed to those things just like that to write my name on the ballot. Now, I know it's not enough of you out there to give me the number to become president of the United States. That's okay. But I want to know that I'm not alone. I want to know that God got some real people out here. I want to know that. I want to know that not all of you are gone. Not all of you are lost. Not all of you are afraid. Some of you got to have some love in your heart. I ain't talking about the kind of love Trump talks about. I'm talking about the true love of wanting back to you what you want God to give to you. You see what I'm saying? Well, anyway, and I want you to know that I will be going to Washington if it were an accident. Not to give any attention to the status quo. You know, I know business will go on, and for my country, for my state, what the decisions that are being best that I can see that require my attention for you, I'll give it, and I'll speak from where I'm at. I'm not going to speak from that compromising situation. I'm speaking from where I'm at. You see, and I'm not playing with that game. You are just that important. You are just that important. And so, when I go to Washington, I'm going there to speak just like I'm speaking right now. And when people start talking about policy and what some laws that's got to be made, I will represent those laws from this perspective. And I'll do it in such a way that every state in this union can know that God is God. In other words, what I'll be doing, ladies and gentlemen, like you said, Mr. Smith goes to Washington, I'll be going to Washington to preach to the world. I don't need the Pope. The Pope stuff ain't working. I will be going to Washington to preach to the world, to tell the world about love. And I'll be demanding that everybody who loves God stand up and show it. And the key thing is that the things that you work for benefits everybody, and you will be willing to give up your life, just like Dr. King, just like Jesus, just like the Kennedy brothers. You will be willing to give up your life because what you're doing is right, and you will not fire a bullet, you will not slap another person for nothing. Why? Because they are ignorant, and they are stupid, and they are foolish. You only know that because God gave you the light. And so you don't treat them like we recognize treating stupid folks and ignorant folks. We treat them with love by guiding them, by protecting them from themselves, protecting them from what they've done. Now, you listen to what I just told you. You listen to what I just told you. And you go back and you check what your president of the United States that you chose is saying. Is he saying anything like this? And you're sitting still, talking about the problem and doing nothing. My. But God got his eyes on you, and he loves you. That's why I'm here speaking to you. Bye-bye.